Hey, can you hear and see me well?
Yes, I can.
Hello, how are
Yeah.
you today, Koki?
Today, yeah, I'm good because yesterday I slept earlier than
Mm-hmm.
usual, so yeah, that made me refreshed, and yeah, I'm good today. How about you? How
Oh,
about you?
I'm doing good also. Thank you
Okay.
so much for asking that. So I can see here that you chose daily news entertainment culture. Japan sees a vintage fashion boom among young people. Am I correct?
Yes.
Okay, Koki, let's start the lesson. So let's move on to words and phrases. So which one do you like, the US or the UK pronunciation?
The U.S. please.
Okay, I'll play the US and please repeat.
Revival.
Revival.
So revival is a noun, means the process of becoming more active or popular. Again, I'll play the sample sentence on you.
The town saw a cultural revival after the new art center opened.
The town saw a cultural revival after the new art center opened.
Okay, so how do you want to make a sentence with the word revival or do you want to move to the next word?
Yeah, I'd like to.
Okay,
Okay,
I
so
love your voice.
really?
Yeah.
Maybe, yeah, this microphone is very good quality, so how can I say? Well, my voice is a little bit more, how can I say, detailed. Yeah, so more
Okay.
clear than
Oh,
other,
yes.
yeah,
Okay.
other microphone or, yeah, headphones.
Okay. So
Okay,
sweet. Your voice is
revival.
so sweet.
Mmm, I'm glad to hear that. Revival, revival, revival.
Hmm.
Mm, uh, uh, Nintendo Switch 2 caused revival of old Nintendo's titles.
Okay, so Nintendo Switch 2.
Yeah, Switch 2 caused
Mm-hmm. Pause.
caused the revival of old titles.
Okay, revival of all the Titans. Okay, let me check for a bit. So Nintendo Switch 2 caused revival of all the Titans. Okay, the Nintendo Switch. Okay, thank you so much for making that sample sentence. So let's move on to the next word.
Aesthetic.
Aesthetic.
So Koki aesthetic is an adjective means relating to beauty or the appreciation of beauty. I'll play the sample sentence on you.
The building's aesthetic design attracts many architecture students.
The building's aesthetic design attracts many architecture students.
Mhm. So how about aesthetic?
Aesthetic. Hmm. I like the aesthetic design of iPhone.
Aesthetic design of iPhone. Uh, iPhone. So tell me if I am correct with what I've heard. So your sentence is, he liked the aesthetic design of iPhone.
Yes.
Okay, thank you so much. Let's move on to the next one.
Significance.
Significance.
So significance is a noun, means the importance or meaning of something. I'll play the sample sentence on you.
The teacher explained the historical significance of the monument.
The teacher explained the historical significance of the monument.
Okay, so how about significance?
Significance. I've realized significance of participating vote.
One more time, significance of
Significance of participating in
participating
vote.
in bold.
Vote.
Uh,
Like yeah, election.
Okay, in bold. Okay, so I've realized significance of participation in vote or in voting.
Voting, yeah, voting.
I So let's move on to the next one.
Pristine.
Pristine.
Pristine is an adjective, means new or almost new, and in very good condition.
We hiked through a pristine forest untouched by human activity.
We hiked through a pristine forest untouched by human activity.
So how about
Pristine.
pristine?
Pristine. Mm, I was able to sell my iPhone at a good price since it was pristine.
To good price. Because because
Because it was pristine.
okay. Because it was pristine. Okay, one more time. I was able to sell my iPhone to good price because it was pristine. Okay. Okay. So iPhone because it was pristine. Okay, thank you so much. Let's move on to the last word.
Dismiss.
Dismiss.
So dismiss is a verb means to decide that something or someone is not important and not worth considering. I'll play the sample sentence audio, Koki.
She dismissed his concerns without listening to them carefully.
She dismissed his concerns without listening to them carefully.
So how about dismiss?
Dismiss. Mm, 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 when I was young, I often dismissed my parents' advices.
Dismiss my parent advices.
Yes.
Okay. So your sentence is when I was young, I often dismissed my parents' advices.
Yes.
Okay, or advice.
Advice.
Okay. Okay. Thank you so much for making that sample sentences. So, Koki, do you have any question about words and phrases?
No question so far.
Okay, so let's move on to comprehension part. So let's move on to listening focus. Let's check the questions that you will have to answer later. So the first question, what has caused vintage fashion to become globally popular again? So what has caused vintage fashion to become globally popular again? Second one, why are some vintage jackets now sold at very high prices? Why are some vintage jackets now sold at very high prices? And the third one is why are damaged vintage clothes also considered valuable today? So are damaged vintage clothes also considered valuable today? So now, Cookie, let's move on to listen to the article. So let's listen to the audio. I'll play it now.
Japan sees a vintage fashion boom among young people. Vintage fashion has experienced a strong global revival, transforming garments once seen as outdated into symbols of style, culture, and personal identity. Items like 1950s denim jeans or 1990s graphic t-shirts now command prices close to luxury fashion, appealing to collectors and buyers who appreciate both aesthetic and historical significance. A retailer in Tokyo noted the role of digital platforms like Instagram and YouTube in reshaping public opinion. These platforms allow users to share rare vintage finds with large audiences, encouraging younger generations to view secondhand clothing as a form of creative expression rather than a budget choice. As a result, used clothing has become both fashionable and meaningful. This shift is reflected in rising market values. A pristine denim jacket from the 1950s reportedly sold for 35 million yen, illustrating how rarity and condition drive demand. Military jackets from the 1960s, valued for durability and historical depth, are also popular among fashion fans. These garments reflect a unique fusion of history and personal style. Even worn items are gaining attention. A shop manager from a smaller city explained that tears or stains are now seen as authentic details. This change highlights a new cultural perspective, where flaws are appreciated as part of a garment story. Vintage fashion, once dismissed as outdated, now serves as a way to express memory, values, and individuality.
Okay, well done. So this time, do you want to proceed to answer the question, or do you want to play again the audio?
Please listen again.
Okay, I'll play it one more time.
Japan sees a vintage fashion boom among young people. Vintage fashion has experienced a strong global revival, transforming garments once seen as outdated into symbols of style, culture, and personal identity. Items like 1950s denim jeans or 1990s graphic t-shirts now command prices close to luxury fashion, appealing to collectors and buyers who appreciate both aesthetic and historical significance. A retailer in Tokyo noted the role of digital platforms like Instagram and YouTube in reshaping public opinion. These platforms allow users to share rare vintage finds with large audiences, encouraging younger generations to view secondhand clothing as a form of creative expression rather than a budget choice. As a result, used clothing has become both fashionable and meaningful. This shift is reflected in rising market values. A pristine denim jacket from the 1950s reportedly sold for 35 million yen, illustrating how rarity and condition drive demand. Military jackets from the 1960s, valued for durability and historical depth, are also popular among fashion fans. These garments reflect a unique fusion of history and personal style. Even worn items are gaining attention. A shop manager from a smaller city explained that tears or stains are now seen as authentic details. This change highlights a new cultural perspective, where flaws are appreciated as part of a garment story. Vintage fashion, once dismissed as outdated, now serves as a way to express memory, values, and individuality.
Okay, well done. So this time, let's proceed to answer the question. So the first one, what has caused vintage fashion to become globally popular again?
Digital platforms like Instagram and YouTube.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so your answer is digital platforms like Instagram and YouTube in reshaping public opinion.
Yes.
Okay, and we'll see it in the second paragraph. Okay, so let's move on to question number 2. So why are some vintage jackets are now sold at very high prices?
Some jackets. Okay. Because it is because they are because it they reflect a unique fusion of history and personal style.
Okay, so one more time, because
They reflect a unique fusion of history and personal style.
okay, so reflect. Let me check for a bit. So
Okay.
so on what paragraph your answer?
Third paragraph and the last sentence.
So last sentence. Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay, so how about when it comes to condition,
Condition.
condition demand?
Condition demand. Okay, so. Mm, 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 mm. Mm. Oh my god. Because they are in good condition and
Good
rare.
condition. Mm-hmm. And also rare.
Yeah.
Okay. Good condition and also rare.
Yes.
Okay. And now let's move on to the third one. Why are damaged vintage clothes also considered valuable today?
Um, because tears or stains are now seen as authentic details.
Authentic. Okay, so when it comes to authenticity.
Authenticity, yes.
Okay, okay. So thank you so much for answering that three questions. So now let's move on to the third one, the read out. So can you please read out the article, Koki?
Okay. Japan sees a vintage fashion boom among young people. Vintage fashion has experienced a strong global revival, transforming garments once seen as outdated into symbol of style, culture, and personal identity. Items like 1950s denim jeans or 1990s graphic t-shirts now command prices close to luxury fashion, appealing to collectors and buyers who appreciate both aesthetic and historical significance. A retailer in Tokyo noted the role of digital platforms like Instagram and YouTube in reshaping public opinion. These platforms allow users to share real vintage finds with large audiences, encouraging younger generations to view second-hand clothing as a form of creative expression rather than a budget choice. As a result, used clothing has become both fashionable and meaningful. This shift is reflected in rising market values. A pristine denim jacket from the 1950s reportedly sold for 35 million yen, illustrating how rarity and condition drives demand. Military jackets from the 1960s, valued for durability and historical depth, are also popular among fashion fans. These garments reflect a unique fusion of history and personal style. Even worn items are gaining attention. A shop manager from a smaller city explained that tears or stains are now seen as authentic details. This change highlights a new cultural perspective where flaws are appreciated as a part of a garment story. Vintage fashion, once dismissed as outdated, now serves as a way to express memory, values, and individuality.
Thank you so much, Koki, for reading the article. So let's move on to the next part, the discussion part.
Uh-huh.
So I'll read each question, then you can answer it freely. So the
Yes.
first question, Koki, do you enjoy shopping at thrift or secondhand stores? So explain your answer.
Yes, I do. And there are a bunch of shops, like secondhand shops in the city I live in, and near to my favorite restaurant. So yeah, I often go there after eating meals in the restaurant. So and I often go there to find some uh, yeah treasure for me.
Okay.
Yeah,
So why do you like that? Because
because
of the
because
uniqueness and the high quality of the item?
mostly um it's it is because of the price. Mm, yeah, in that store I can buy sometimes good quality garments at very lower prices compared to uh, other clothing shops, and so yeah, uh, the the clothing the shop provides are so unique and
Yes.
sometimes very old and old enough not to I can so old enough yeah, to enjoy, and I can't
Okay.
find those kind of clothes in other so newer
Oh, yes.
boutique.
In other boutique, that's why you like that. So the condition also and a good quality,
Mm-hmm.
and and also the affordable price. That's why
Yes.
you. Okay, thank you so much for sharing your answer. So now we'll send you again the sample answer. So do you want to read it or do you want to check it later?
I will check it later.
Okay, so let's move on to question number two. So do you think old clothes can be fashionable? Why or why not?
mm, yes, I do, and so there, uh, so in history, we human experienced a lot of cultures and cultural changes, like so the clothes have those uh, uh, mostly the clothes reflects those social movements at the time when they are produced. So yeah, like this article says, I can feel the ambience
Oh,
of the
yes.
time.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, the clothes are sold. So yeah, 80s or 90s or yeah something like that. They depending on the period, clothes has different ambience in it, and like designs and graphics and materials, or yeah. So there are some parameters
So the
that
unique design
yeah, you need
and the
design
material.
as well.
Mhm.
Mm.
So vintage styles often come back into trend. Do you agree with that?
Yes, I do.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, but recently, so it is a I cannot participate in the yeah so vintage clothes due to the price. So yeah, I guess in this time the movement of yeah vintage clothes are overheated. You know. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Okay. So thank you so much for answering that. So now we'll send you again the sample answer for you to check it later. So Cookie, let's move on to question number three. So question number three is buying used clothes better for the environment. So support your answer.
Yes, it is. When it from the environmental perspective, I, I think so. I think the useless clothes are just thrown away, and at the so they are burned in those
Mm-hmm.
facilities, yeah, as a garbage. So yeah, but on the other hand, we try to buy the used clothes. We can reduce the amount of clothes that would be burned.
Yes.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
contributing to yeah our ours our
Mm-hmm.
environment.
It's good for our
Yes,
environment.
yes.
Okay. So buying used clothes is better for the environment, like what you said. Okay, so now we'll send you the sample answer of yes and no for you to check it later.
Hmm.
Okay, Koki, let's move on to question number four. So do you think expensive clothes always look better? So share your thoughts.
I don't think so. Yeah,
Why?
because yeah, actually I can't distinguish the when I can distinguish whether so which one is expensive, more
Expensive.
expensive.
Oh. Mhm,
Yeah, when I see the yeah crows at the same time, two crows at the same time, and
mhm.
yeah, sometimes so expensive clothes have are more likely to have the unique design. So yeah, from the designer's perspective, I can guess. the which one is the most expensive, but commonly, yeah, so the expensive clothes are, yeah, similar to the normal clothes.
Oh, yes.
So yeah, mm, I can't distinguish the difference. Mm, yeah.
Okay. So,
It,
okay. Thank you so much for. Go ahead.
okay, so the price is always defined by the brand and
Oh, yes.
materials and stuff like that. But if the two clothes use the same material, but one is a branded one, the other is not branded one, so I can't distinguish, whether which is
It's
more,
expensive.
yeah, more expensive.
But how about you? Do you buy an expensive clothes or an affordable price?
No, we are running out of our time.